Alright, as promised, a video about manga slabs and submitting off to Beckett. I actually had made a video where I was going to send in 4 manga to Beckett to get graded and slabbed, and I'll briefly show you those. It's Kamiyadori Book 5. I just like the cover. My Dress Up Darling, Volume 1, in case you can't tell. Marion Kitagawa fan right there. You guys all know I love this cover. So this is Tenjo Tenge, Volume 16. This is the CMX version, still in plastic. And finally, Ghost Talker's Daydream, Volume 6. The thing is, like, I was looking at the price. It would have cost, by the time I shipped it there, paid for shipping back, paid for the slabs and the grading, which is $30, even without the cleaning. It would have been about $200 US, which is about $50 per book. It would not have been worthwhile to do that. Now, I've been reading a lot about, people, oh my God, it's all speculators and it's scalpers and it's this and it's that. Here's my very experienced, honest opinion. Don't worry about it. Most normal people would not pay, even if this came back a 9.8, they would not pay $50 US for this. And the odds of that coming back at 9.8 are slim. Even though it's sealed, it's amazing how hard it is to get a 9.8 grade. And the thing about the Beckett's manga grading is that there is no pre-screen. It's not like you can send your manga off and say, if it's not a 9.8, don't bother. They don't have that feature. So as soon as you send it, it is what it is, whether it's a 9.0, 8.0, or a 9.8. You don't know, right? Like, you do your best, but let me offer you my honest opinion is the only thing that's going to be worthwhile getting manga graded will be the collectible ones, like the 1 in 5,000. Maybe if you have like a Barnes and Noble exclusive, if you have like those San Diego Comic-Con exclusives, if they're in really good shape, like 9.4 and higher, especially 9.8, you want the 9.8, those are worthwhile getting done. If you have a book that means a lot to you, that it's a favorite book and you just want to keep it in that same condition for as long as you can, yeah, for sure, it's worthwhile. If you're just speculating, it's not investment, people. I try to explain this in comics many times. So I'm going to introduce, most people know the Pareto principle. It's the 80-20 rule. A long time ago, there was an Italian mathematician called Vilfredo Pareto, and he came up, well, what he realized was that 80% of the land in Italy was owned by 20% of the people. Thus, it's basically hierarchical distribution. Now, you often hear this with wealth in America, for example, like 20% of the people hold 80% of the value or the wealth. Now, you can kind of apply the same things to comics, and I have before. I did a video about that. But let's do it with manga, and I'm going to take you through quickly here. Tier 0 is like 80% of the books, it's less than cover. That may seem like a lot, but the fact is, like, when you think about it, most of the stuff you buy online, brand new, is actually cover price or less, right? So that's the vast majority of manga being purchased is really cover price. Then you've got secondhand books shops, you've got libraries that might sell them. So there's a ton of places to get cheap manga. Tier number 1 is $15 to $60, and that's using Pareto principle. That's about 16%, which is actually 80% of the 20% that's left over. So this is kind of a range where, yeah, the manga is maybe out of print, a little harder to find. We'll jump into tier 2. Now, tier 2 on my weekly manga values was primarily the top 10 I was looking at. Not so much the $60 range, it was normally like 100 to 250 tended to be the majority of it. For those big titles, I would hit some tier 3. That was like $250 to $1,000. Very, very few volumes. About 2/3% would fall in there. Now, a lot of these were exclusives, those 1 in 5,000s, whichever, right? Finally, there was the ultra rare tier 4 that I kind of had a few books in. Most of them were the one piece, 1 in 5,000. They would usually go for about a couple grand, right? Maybe 15 to 2,000. This is what grading is going to do. So if anybody had a 9.8, 1 in 5,000 one piece, shiny gold holographic cover from 2003, you could expect a 9.8 to go for about $15,000. Lower grades would probably, maybe if you had a 9.4, 4,000, maybe somewhere around there. 9.6, I would say maybe even 8, 7,000. A 9.8 would like blow the roof off the top value of that particular. It would be like the most valuable manga. This grading thing is really only going to be valuable for the stuff that is already valuable. So is Beckett going to lose money here? Like, is this like a doomed venture? No, because if they're smart, here's what they'll do, right? So you know Crunchyroll bought outright stuff, which means they sell manga now. So let's take like one of the hot properties at the moment, Solo Leveling. Okay, let's pretend Crunchyroll on their website now, they have a variant cover Solo Leveling manhwa, guaranteed in a 9.8. So when you buy it, it's going to be cased, it's going to be 9.8. Variant cover, limited edition, let's say 10,000 copies. Let's say that costs like $129. Do you think people would buy that? I think they would. I, honestly think, especially with like a custom label up at the top for your 9.8, it's just another collectible. Now, is everybody going to buy this? No, of course not, right? So it's, some people would, right? It's the same with anime figures or any collectible. It's not everybody's going to get it. It's just some people will. Now, so anyway, those are my thoughts on manga grading. I can see Beckett will form partnerships with like your Crunchyroll, maybe High Dive, maybe so when a series is out and it's hot, you can buy like #1 variant cover and a 9.8, or who knows, even a 9.9 or a 10 if they have like special printing going on. Those will be the things, right? It'll just be another collectible. As far as like people taking all their manga and getting it graded so people can't read it, like that's not really going to happen. It's going to become basically like a specialty market. So people worrying about like scalping and all this and everybody's slabbing manga, not really. But it is a really great way also to preserve perhaps your favorite manga, the ones that mean a lot to you. Anyway, those are basically my thoughts. And yeah, I would love to send in those 4 books, but it's really hard to justify that cost, especially when they're, even if they got a good grade, I couldn't sell them for what I had to pay to have it done. So anyways, thanks for watching again. Talk to everybody later. Bye-bye.